You ever take a look at your trash and think, man, this is just all junk? Maybe you're tossing out fruit peels, coffee grounds, or the leftovers from last night's dinner, and it all seems like nothing but clutter. But what if I told you that you've been sitting on a hidden treasure this whole time? Yep, right there in your garbage. There's a natural resource that's packed with nutrients and can give your plants the boost they need to thrive. Now I know what you're thinking. How can anything in my trash be valuable? Well, I'm about to blow your mind because that so-called trash is actually one of nature's best-kept secrets. You see, what most people don't realize is that we throw away a ton of organic material every day, and a lot of it can actually be repurposed into something amazing for your garden. That's right, you've got the perfect natural fertilizer right at your fingertips. Let's talk composting. I'm not talking about some fancy process that requires special equipment or a bunch of science degrees. Composting is simply taking organic waste. Think fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, yard clippings, and more, and turning it into nutrient-rich compost that can nourish your plants. It's a game changer for gardeners, and it's something anyone can do at home with just a little effort. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about creating fertilizer for your garden. Composting is also about reducing waste and helping the environment. Think about it. When you throw away food scraps, they end up in a landfill where they break down slowly, releasing harmful gases into the air and contributing to pollution. But when you compost, you're reducing that waste and putting it to good use. And guess what? You're saving money too. Instead of spending cash on store-bought fertilizers and soil enhancers, you can make your own, using ingredients that were already going in the trash. It's the ultimate recycling project, and it doesn't get any more sustainable than that. Now, I know some of you might be a little skeptical. I mean, composting sounds like something for gardening experts, right? But trust me, it's actually really simple, and you don't need to be a green thumb to do it. Whether you live in an apartment with limited space or have a big backyard, there's a composting method for you. Plus, composting can be done year-round, and it's totally worth it. So, why should you start composting today? First of all, you're taking a step toward reducing your carbon footprint and helping the planet. You're also giving your plants a supercharged boost of nutrients without using any harmful chemicals. And the best part? It's free. All those kitchen scraps you've been tossing out can now be turned into black gold for your garden, all while helping you cut down on your trash output. But that's not all. Composting also creates a richer, healthier soil environment for your plants. The microbes in the compost work their magic, breaking down the material and turning it into a soft, dark, nutrient-dense soil that your garden will love. Trust me, once you see how much your plants thrive, you'll be hooked. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn that trash into treasure. You'll learn how to compost, what to compost, and why it's so important for your garden. Ready to turn your trash into something awesome? Let's dive in. So, now that we're all on the same page about how composting can turn your trash into treasure, let's break it down a little more. You might still be asking yourself, what exactly is compost? And why should I even bother with it? Great questions. Let's dive into it. At its core, compost is simply organic matter that has broken down over time through the natural process of decomposition. Think of it as Mother Nature's recycling system. When plants, food scraps, yard waste, and other organic materials break down, they turn into nutrient-rich material that looks like dark, crumbly soil. This material is compost, and it's loaded with the nutrients that plants love, things like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So what's the big deal about compost? Why should you care about it when there are so many other ways to take care of your garden? Let me tell you why composting is one of the most powerful tools you can use, and why it's something everyone should consider doing, regardless of whether you're a seasoned gardener or someone just starting to dip their toes into the gardening world. First of all, composting is an eco-friendly way to reduce waste. If you think about it, we're all throwing away organic matter every single day. Things like banana peels, coffee grounds, apple cores, or the leftover salad greens that didn't make it. All of this stuff is biodegradable, but in a landfill it takes forever to decompose and, to make matters worse, releases harmful gases like methane into the atmosphere. By composting, you're not only keeping this waste out of the landfill, but also turning it into something useful. It's recycling at its finest, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Composting also benefits your garden in ways you might not realize. When you add compost to your soil, you're giving your plants access to the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. The microorganisms in compost break down the organic matter into usable nutrients, making your soil richer and more fertile. This is especially important if your garden has poor or depleted soil, because compost helps replenish the nutrients that plants need to thrive. And if you think about it, compost is a natural fertilizer that's way better for the environment than the chemical fertilizers you might find at the store. Store-bought fertilizers often come with a hefty environmental price tag. They require lots of energy to produce, they can pollute nearby water sources, and they can even damage your soil over time. On the other hand, compost is 100% natural, chemical-free, and sustainable. It's the kind of fertilizer that works in harmony with the environment, improving soil structure and supporting healthy plant growth without all the harmful side effects. But there's more. Compost also helps with moisture retention in your soil. The organic matter in compost holds water, which means your plants will need less frequent watering. This is especially helpful if you live in a dry area or if you want to conserve water. Plus, the improved soil structure also promotes better drainage, so your plants won't be drowning in water either. It's like creating the perfect environment for your garden to thrive. Not too dry, not too wet, just right. Finally, composting is just a simple, cost-effective way to feed your plants. You don't have to spend a fortune on expensive fertilizers or soil amendments. Instead, you can use what you already have, your kitchen scraps, yard waste, and even coffee filters and eggshells, to create something that will supercharge your garden. And the best part? It's free. So, why should you care about composting? Because it's a win-win situation for both you and the environment. You're reducing waste, improving your soil, and giving your plants the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. What's not to love about that? In the next section, we'll talk about exactly what you can and can't compost, so you can get started turning your trash into treasure today. Alright, now that we know what composting is and why it's so awesome, let's talk about what you can actually compost. This is where your trash becomes treasure. First, the obvious stuff, fruit and veggie scraps. Banana peels, apple cores, carrot tops, all those leftovers that you'd normally toss, they're perfect for compost. Coffee grounds are another winner, and if you're a tea drinker, you can toss in those tea bags too. But wait, there are some things you definitely shouldn't compost. Avoid dairy, meat, or oily foods. These can attract pests and slow down the composting process. Also, steer clear of things like plastic, glass, or anything that's not biodegradable. Now you might be wondering, how do I get this process going? Well, there are a few simple steps that will make your composting journey a lot easier. Starting your composting adventure is easier than you think. First, grab a compost bin. You can buy one, or if you're feeling crafty, you can make your own with some basic materials. The key is to create a space where the magic of decomposition can happen. Next, start adding your kitchen scraps. Layer the wet items like fruit peels and coffee grounds with dry materials like leaves, straw, or cardboard. This helps with air circulation and speeds up the breakdown process. Keep the compost moist, but not soaking wet. Think of it like a damp sponge, and don't forget to mix it up every few weeks to keep things moving. You'll know your compost is ready when it looks like dark, rich soil. And remember, patience is key. It might take a few months, but the payoff is totally worth it. You'll have your own homemade fertilizer and your plants will thank you for it.